We can be successful in life, and yet we find our life empty. There is a certain vacuum, and sometimes we do not know why is this emptiness present in our hearts. Of course, there are some of us who also experience failures in life, disappointments. Many of us feel lonely, especially those who are elderly, those who are retired, those who are immobile. Your children have grown up, they have left your family, and you are all alone. And so sometimes you wonder, what is that for you to continue living? What motivation do you have to live? What is the meaning of life? Meaning of life simply is to love God and to love our neighbor. But these two will have to go together. We cannot say we love God if we do not love our neighbor. There is no way for us to love our neighbors unless we love God. Some people said there are many good people in the world. They do not believe in God, but they are doing good works. They're involved in works of charity, just like people who are faith believers. Do you need to love God in order to love our brothers and sisters? That is why, for such people, the help that they give to the poor, what do we call them? Humanitarian. Humanitarian simply means out of their own humanness. They feel with the suffering. They feel with the poor. They identify with those people who are suffering, basing from their own humanity. So this is indeed noble. This is indeed good. It is not to say, therefore, that love is not sincere, but that love is not perfect. Why? When we serve the poor purely out of humanitarian reason, actually to love the poor is to love ourselves. Isn't it true, those of you who have loved ones, when your loved ones are in trouble, you don't have to hesitate. You don't have to think. Immediately you reach out to your husband or to your children. When you see them suffering, immediately you must help. Why? Because they are part of you. Your happiness is intrinsically tied to the happiness of your loved ones. You cannot be happy when you see them suffering. So, to care for them, to love them, is actually to love yourself, so that you don't have to suffer. That is why parents cannot see their children suffering, because if they suffer, we are suffering much more than them. And so, when children are suffering, the first spontaneous reaction is to remove the suffering from them. Even sometimes, some sufferings actually are good for our children, but because we feel the pain. Of course, there are some people, they do good works, not so much because they identify the sufferings of their fellow men, maybe out of pride, out of guilt. We're not talking about these people. We're talking about those who really identified with those who are suffering. So what about those people who love God? When you love God, you can love everyone. And that is why Jesus has come to teach us how to love. When he was on the cross, he poured out his Spirit, teaching us to love our enemies, not just people who are suffering. Will you help your enemies? That's the point. If your enemies, they were the ones who hurt you badly, when they are in need, will you turn up? Will you continue to help them? Or you want to help those people who have done nothing wrong to you? Those people whom you love. Our love, therefore, is not perfect. The perfect love is to love everyone, regardless whether they are loved ones, whether they are strangers, or even when they are enemies. That is the perfect love. But how can we love this way? Precisely when we see God in them. That this person is not just another person, not simply another human being. This person bears the image of God. And you notice those who are involved in humanitarian aids, they're only concerned about the body. free the body from suffering. For those of us who see God in the poor, we are seeing it even more. The poor does not only need food and clothing. The poor needs the love of God. And it's only when they encounter God's love, then their life is complete. That is why those Catholics, when they offer humanitarian services to the poor, without finding opportunities to lead them to God, we are shortchanging them. As if you give them food and shelter, they will be so happy. Their life is fulfilled. No matter how much we can give to the poor, they will never be satisfied. We can only be satisfied until we encounter God in our life. And that is why, my dear brothers and sisters, it's very important for us that if we will really want to participate in the spirit of Jesus, in loving, then we need to encounter God. So love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and you will find the capacity to love even your enemies.